powerful, very metro. A big thing about his deck also, seeing these kind of cards kind of gets me a little frustrated, so I hope he runs into Malira, is that what it's called?
Malira?
Malira, that's it, yeah.
You don't like Infect?
No, I don't like Infect.
Wow.
It's a silly deck.
Come on now.
You shouldn't have 10 life. That's cheating.
Let's take a look at the hand here from Fred Kelley. He's got double force of will. He's got intuition, a misdirection, a show and tell, and 2 lands. So it's very clear what he's playing right now. Right off the bat, Tom knows from the attack.
This hand's actually pretty bad from Fred.
Yeah, it's not a great hand. I mean, no cantrips, not really a lot of action going on. I think personally, I would have taken a mulligan on that.
Me too,
hand.
actually, because not only does the no cantrips, but he doesn't even have a reanimate, a big creature to put in play. He's got the intuition, which makes it last a whole another turn later. So he's going to need to draw something better. At least he drew a land there that gives him a start. So he has the 3 land he needs. And Tom did not have a turn 1 creature.
And don't worry. I see an Inkmoth Nexus there. That's a card that you can't counter.
That's true.
He does have a bunch of Force of Wills and a misdirection in his hand, but what he doesn't have is a creature to counter. So Inkmoth Nexus is going to come into play most likely this turn. Not 100% positive. You see Tom saying he's got a couple of dazes over there. Don't know if he has any real pump spells. He might have a Might of Old Croja in the grip. And you're probably wondering, what's the composition of Tom's deck? How does he make that Inkmoth Nexus a big deal? He's got Noble Hierarch, which Exalted Trigger will help out. He's got Vines of the Vastwood, Might of Old Croja, and Invigorate.
I used to play Invigorate. My first
Bandin Pauper.
First F&M deck, Invigorate Vine Dry deck.
Actually, that's your deck didn't have very many lands in it, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that deck.
Had Rancor too.
So yeah, it's a stompy deck. It's a sweet deck, actually.
I would like to stomp my opponent. I lost to Yawgmoth's Will and
Are you saying that those cards are more powerful than Vine Dryad?
Yeah.
I think Vine Dryad's a 1/3.
I played like a Scourge Familiar, the one that discards lands, you get Black Mana, Soul Feast you. That deck, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty close.
Second probe. You're wondering where the big creature is? Well, that's what you have draw steps for, because Gristlebrand is there now. Yep. Again, double Force of Will, got the intuition, got the misdirection.
And Grizzlebrand actually, nice little card there too. Tends to block these Infect guys, just in case Fred gets a little low. Then he can refill his hand to get another one if he needs to.
Well, here's the thing. He can attack Tom and gain 7 life. Tom doesn't care about that.
No, not at all.
He says, I'm just going to infect you, man. I don't care if you gain a bunch of life.
Gain your life. Gain your life. Just don't hit me with Emrakul. We don't like that one.
So Tom's going through the decision-making process right now. What can I do to get myself out of this situation? This is going to be pretty difficult. I know the Gristlebrand's coming. I know he's got double protection, too.
Yeah, the big thing about it is kind of like an epic battle between a deck that is unfair against a deck that's trying to punish them by being aggressive. Problem is, Tom didn't have that turn 1 Glistener Elf, turn 2 Invigorate, nonsense going on.
See you later.
To knock you out. So now, we simply are getting in there for 1 Infect.
Now, the nice thing here, though, from Fred Kelley's side, is we talk about how basically he starts at 10 life, now he's at 9. But, the Gristlebrand, the life that you lose from drawing 7 cards doesn't matter either.
Not at all.
So, you can go as low as you want to as long as you don't go to 0 because you're not going to get punished for that. So, outside of maybe a Noble Hierarch sliding in, but I think Fred would see that coming.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely not sneaky. So he's going to sack a fetch land here, and only one of them. And he's going to draw, and I'm pretty sure we know what's going to happen here. We're going to do the show and tell, we're going to put the Grizzlebrand in play, and then we're going to wish Tom the best of luck to defeat him this way.
Oh, that's what you think's going to happen, huh?
That's what I think would happen, yeah.
You think a big creature's going to come into play?
I think that's what the deck likes to do.
You sound pretty sure of yourself on that one.
I'm on Fred's side here. Let's show and tell these things into play here. It's a fun format, silly format, time to do silly things, right?
Hey, that's why I love Legacy.
Yep, Legacy's sweet. All right, so Fred here thinking. He can think all he wants. We know what he's going to do. I mean, he looks like he's about to say go.
No way.
No, his hand is. It's kind of like
the motion. That's the hand motion to pass it. Yeah.
No. I mean, what can you possibly? There's not really many options you have. You have show and tell, or you.
Wow, he does pass. So I guess he's going to set up an intuition turn before trying to go off. Ponder the the draw step here for Ross. That's probably where he's going to start again. We've seen Tom Ross win Legacy Opens before. He won a Legacy Open with Zoo many years ago, defeating a 43 land deck in the finals. So Tom is a very capable Legacy player. Normally likes to sleep with the Wild Nicottles, but he is rocking and rolling with an Infect deck, a deck that you don't see a ton in Legacy, but the people who like Infect are very, very fond of it.
Yeah, I mean, you get all the best cards. You can play Legacy. And, of course, you have cards that Infect that were never intended to be around the same time. Kind of like Invigorate. This card especially comes to mind. +4/+4 for free. Pretty good.
Card's so good it's banned in Pauper. Yep. That's how good it is.
Yeah, they recently banned a few more cards in Pauper.
It's good banning, though.
Yeah.
Need to change it. Get those cloud posts out of here.
Yeah, I agree. I played the mono blue Delver nonsense online. So.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? What if Foothill's going to get sacrificed here for Ross? He drew a Brainstorm off the Ponder, so it's going to be a little sacrifice action, and then maybe we'll see 3 more cards coming. Not sure. The one thing about Ross's deck, let's we know about the pump spells. He's got those 4 days. He's also got 4 Spell Pierce, 3 Gataxian Bro. We've seen him catch 2. Just a Singleton Ponder to go along with those 4 Brainstorms. An interesting card here. 2 copies of Crop Rotation. Didn't expect to see those. Might be wondering what he's crop rotating for.
And Attorney puts an Enigma next to kill you out of nowhere.
Yeah, he can do that. He's also got Pendlehaven in his deck, too.
Yeah.
2 of those to be able to pump up the jam on Inkmoth Nexus. So, pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. And crop rotation is pretty much just, gives you Inkmoth Nexus number 5.
Yeah.
Number 6, however many he's playing.
Intuition on the end step here. Kelley going to take 2 from the Ancient Tomb, but again, that's not going to matter very much because this is Infect. So, life total, you can be at everything but 0.
Correct. So
I wonder what he's going to search for. What do you think he's going to get?
Maybe Emrakul's.
Okay.
Maybe he just wants to get in play right now. Maybe if he has the Ancient Tomb, so he can actually play Sneak Attack and then Sneak Attack in something next turn. He can get 3 of those. But I don't think he wants to Sneak Attack and Grizzlebrand leave himself open to be infected. So you probably see Emrakul here.
Ha! Sneak Attack.
Oh,
incorrect, sir.
Yeah, one or the other, definitely. Well, he already next leveled me by not show and tell in last turn, so
sure.
I guess he's just trying to do the old opposite.
I mean, he's taking the slow path, and I kind of actually like the slow path, mostly because he's got so much protection in his hand that he doesn't have to rush. He's got double force and 3 blue cards in his hand. One of those blue cards is a misdirection, too, so he's basically got 2 counter spells, and if he draws another blue card, he's got 3 counter spells.
Yeah.
So he's doing just fine.
Looks like he drew a
basic island. Got that Grizzlebrand, got those Force of Wills, got a Sneak Attack, got a Show and Tell. The world is his oyster. It's just does he want to go for it this time?
Yes.
He's also done a nice job playing around Days, too. One of the things I do like. Now, he doesn't know what permission Tom does have in his deck, of course, unless these guys are friends. But, I don't think he knows the permission that Tom has in his deck. So playing around Days may have been incidental, but he did accomplish that. And now he's tapping 3 mana, so Shaheen.
Is he going to Show and Tell now?
I would think so.
I wonder why he wasted a turn doing the Sneak Attack.
Because I think what he wants to do is he wants to Show and Tell in Sneak Attack and then attack on the same turn.
Does he have Emrakul in his hand already?
He's got Grizzlebrand, and he can draw towards Emrakul.
Yeah.
Here's a Brainstorm from Ross.
I guess
so
you can draw 14 cards to hit that Emrakul.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much going to be lights out.
Unless he misses it, then we'll see a possible infection the next turn.
We could.
Yeah.
We could. But then again, to be fair, then Kelley will have 14 cards in addition to what he does have. Then he can discard appropriately. And then he'll have access to Force Wills and Misdirection and stuff. But he would be, I guess he would go up to 8. So yeah, he would have enough life to be able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't mind this line at all. Tom, it depends. He has 7 cards in his hand. Almost looks like 6 cards after he draws for turn. So he could possibly have this deck is just a bunch of pump spells. So maybe there's a chance that 3 Force Wills could not be enough. You never know.
Yeah, it's possible.
If 5 of those cards are pump spells, and you never know.
You see Tom taking a long time with resolving this Brainstorm. And, you want to be careful when you're playing against Sneak and Show. This is the boogeyman of our format. So it's very scary. You want to make sure you do get everything right.
Yeah, Sneak and Show is definitely the combo deck to beat.
Would you say it's the best deck?
It's tough to say in Legacy. Every week is a new best deck, it feels like. I still think that it's close. It's the best combo deck. I don't know about the best deck.
All right.
I'm not going to say I don't think Stoneblade's the best deck, to say the least. I think, the Charlotte's Bug deck's still very good, too. There's so many good decks in Legacy.
Here is a Daze on this Show and Tell. So this might look a little bit strange, seeing a Daze on a Show and Tell when there's 2 mana available, but maybe Ross is trying to confuse Kelley a little bit here into tapping some mana. Going to sacrifice that Scalding Tarn before this Daze does resolve. And says Daze in response to that.
Okay.
So.
Now this makes you think. Maybe you pay for all this, but then you just Show and Tell in the Grizzlebrand.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I would do. Because in that way, nothing really happened.
Kelley is going to cast a Misdirection, removing Force of Will. And what he's going to do is his Daze targets your Daze. So now both of those are going to go bye-bye. And I like that play a lot. Because now he's going to resolve his fetch land. He's going to go get a land. He's going to get a Volcanic Island. And what he can do now is he can put in that Sneak Attack. He can Sneak Attack in old Grizzlebrand. Draw 7 cards because he's 14, so he can only draw 7. He can't draw 14. If he spikes an Emrakul, it's lights out.
Yep. Has to be Emrakul though, or bust. Not really bust, but
Yeah, definitely not bust.
Delay.
Yeah.
Delay.
So face down, face up, sneak attack. In comes the old Blighted Agent. One of these cards is better than the other.
Yeah. Blight Agent, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Sneak attack's a silly card.
Gristlebrand, you're in. Again, Kelley's sitting at 14 life.
And he pays 7 here. Hoping to draw an Emrakul to end the game immediately. I have seen sneak attack decks fizzle after that, but not ones that have no need for a life total.
Yeah. 6, 7. Let's see what he finds. Any spaghetti monsters? I don't think so. That doesn't mean it's over yet because it looks like he drew a Lotus Petal, so he can do like a Brainstorm or a Ponder and try to hit still. So he's still got some action to be had this turn.
Yeah.
The one thing he can't do, of course, is activate Gristlebrand for another 7 cards. So he's going to start by casting. Looks like this Ponder. He's a little unsure. He's going to play Lotus Petal first, make sure that resolves. Good ordering, actually. And now a Ponder.
Yep.
I like doing that first, obviously, because you don't want to, for some reason, get that dazed or some nonsense.
Yeah, definitely a good play here. All right, so digging for the Emrakul. Wants to take game 1 right off the bat here. And I see a bunch of blue cards there. See a Force of Will. I think, I'm not sure the second card there, but it looks like a Show and Tell. Looking at his hand, I mean, I can't imagine him wanting to keep anything that isn't Emrakul here.
That's kind of how I feel. But he disagrees, so he's going to keep the top card. Spell Pierce, I believe, was the card that he drew. Now he's going to come across with Gristlebrand, yes.
He will gain 7 life, being able to fuel the fire once again the next turn.
Goes
Or
up
he
to
can draw
14.
7 right now and have as long as he has a second Gristlebrand. If he doesn't, I'd probably draw 7 again, just to make sure you have it.
Yeah, just because, again, now that he's at 14, he can't afford to draw those cards, and there's no punishment. Because, again, it's an Infect deck. It is not a damage-dealing deck.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have if he has another Gristlebrand, no reason to, but if he doesn't, he needs to make sure he has it. And he is going to draw 7.
3. There's an Emrakul. I caught a glimpse of it. And a Gristlebrand.
Okay, so next turn should be the ball game.
So as long as he doesn't die this turn, that's the trick. Oh, well, there's Lotus Petal. There's another Lotus Petal, so he can get some cards out of his hand here. He's going to discard, obviously, due to hand size.
He could Show and Tell and put Emrakul in play. Pretty good blocker, right? 15-15?
Pretty good blocker against Blighted Agent that's unblockable?
Oh, no, sorry, the Ink Moth Nexus, not the Blight Agent.
Okay.
No.
Bunch of discards these.
It's hard to block unblockable things.
Is Gristlebrand a good card?
Yeah, it actually derailed me in the only Grand Prix I played in Legacy. Because everybody was playing that dumb deck.
Yeah, I'm playing that card next weekend in DC.
Pretty adventurous of you.
I know it's a new thing. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try putting that in play.
Pretty rogue of you to play
See
a
if I can
Gristlebrand deck.
see if I can find a way to lose if I had a Gristlebrand in play. I want to give that a shot.
Yeah, that's a fun. I guess that would, goes into the old bucket list there.
Yeah.
I lost with Emrakul in play.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's tough to do. Jerry, we watched lose with Emrakul in play due to the new Legend rule.
Yep.
On coverage not too long ago.
See Ross's hand. He drew a Flood Strand for the turn. He's going to play that Flood Strand. He's going to attack with Blighted Agent. Trying to figure out, is there any way I can get out of this? I don't think so. I've got to imagine that my opponent, Fred Kelley, has some sort of counter magic in his hand. So
yep.
I'm going to try to kill you.
Is he only 2 more land too?
Yeah, Tom's got 2 more Tropical Islands in his hand. One of those is from the days from the previous turn. I think, yeah, one of them's from the days. Both of them might actually be from the days. But Blighted Agent just comes across from 1. Now there's Volcanic Island. You're going to see an activation from Sneak Attack. Here is Emrakul. And I think we're going to see his Fred Kelley attack. And don't forget that Annihilator trigger. He taps it, so that's going to be Annihilation. And that's going to be the game. So Fred Kelley does win game number 1 over Tom Ross. Both these players sitting at 3-0. But Sneak and Show, the boogeyman of the format, arguably the best deck in the format, wins game number 1.
It definitely is the most consistent. It's a 2-card combo, but luckily it can actually be an 8-card on each side combo. You can either win with one of your 4 Show and Tells, you can win one of your 4 Sneak Attacks, and then one of your 8 creatures you can win with. You don't actually need Emrakul to win. A lot of times Gristlebrand will be good enough, especially on a turn 2 Show and Tell. We've seen also turn 1 Show and Tell. You can just Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, and then turn 1 7/7 Flying Lifelink that draws you as many cards as you could ever want.
Funny that you say that a Gristlebrand would be, quote, good enough. I think it's always going to be good.
Always good.
I'd like to
Always
believe.
good.
We'll take a look at Tom Ross's sideboard first, as he's going to be on the play here. He's got a Grafdigger's Cage, 2 copies of Nature's Claim, a Jace the Mind Sculptor, a Rancor in the board to go along with a Flusterstorm, a Sylvan Library, Necropede, a Hydroblast, 4 Force of Will, so he can better his combo matchup, and then some sweet lands and crop rotation for. He's got a Bojuka Bog and a Karakas, baby. And you know that Karakas is going to come in here in this matchup, so certainly can crop rotate for that. Other than that, though, I see the Force of Wills coming in, but not a ton more outside of that.
How many basics does he have in his deck?
Basics.
One forest?
One forest.
So we have Blood Boon in the sideboard here. That'd be pretty good.
That is good. It shuts on Inkmoth Nexus,
So
too.
Inkmoth Nexus, it really hurts. Obviously, all your blue mana is turned off because of only the one forest available. Besides that, he's got the same Sneaky Show package sideboard that we always see. Just Pyroclasms, Misdirections, Red Elemental Blast, Flusterstorm, Echoing Truth, and Through the Breach. So nothing that's that great against the Infect deck. I mean, Echoing Truth's okay. But is that really where you want to be? I don't know. Half the time you can't Echo Truth and Inkmoth Nexus, obviously.
Yeah.
So you pretty much are stuck with bouncing on Blighted Agent, maybe. Otherwise, it's not very good. So I don't know. I might maybe bring in the Pyroclasm because it does kill Blighted Agent and it kills Glistener Elf. It's a maybe. It depends on how much you want to water down your combo deck that kills on turn 2, pretty much.
You see both players doing some sideboarding here, so we'll see which directions they do choose to go. Obviously, Sneak and Show, one of the best decks in our Legacy format. Now, gotta ask you the question, Shaheen, since I don't do coverage with you all that much. Show and Tell. Is it time to ban it?
No. I don't think it's unbeatable. I don't think it actually needs a lot of resources to beat either. A lot of times you'll see Show and Tell decks kind of flounder around a little bit. And that last game, if he didn't draw a creature or cantrip for a couple turns, draw a land and maybe another Force of Will, he's pretty much just sitting around doing nothing. I mean, it's not exactly the brokenness of broken decks. It's really good. It's really consistent, but I don't think it's time to ban it. Also, the mirror match is no fun for anyone playing the mirror. I mean, you Show and Tell first and they play an Emrakul, you're dead. So I think there's the mirror can keep it in check as well. It really depends on, I guess, Wizards likes to see what happens in these Grand Prix. So in this Grand Prix, if you see 6 Sneak and Show decks in the top 8, or you do really degenerate things in matchups, then maybe you'll see rumors of a banning. But we're going to have to wait till after this Grand Prix to find out.
All right. I know there's the camps are pretty split on this one. I don't think it needs to be banned, but certainly there are arguments can be made for it to go. I think some people, honestly, are just kind of tired of it.
Yeah, and that's acceptable. And in Legacy, when you ban cards, you really hurt a lot of people's pockets that spend a lot of money on these Show and Tells and built these decks. Luckily, the cards that I play, they're not going to ban any of those cards. I'm not going to be banning Stoneforge Missing in Legacy or Jace the Mind Sculptor. I think they waited till the last possible second to ban Jason Standard because that was their flagship card. There's the ultimate powerful Planeswalker, and they really enjoyed what they made there. I don't see them removing it from all levels of competitive play anytime soon. So,
well, we'll see if you're right about that one.
Jace is here to stay. I don't see them going that far back on their masterpiece there.
I'm a big Jace fan anyway, because my thought process behind Jace is, when they made that card and printed that card, that was meant to be, as you said, a flagship. It was meant to be a great card. And now that it is a great card, that shouldn't, A, surprise anyone, and B, it shouldn't be punished. That was their intention all along.
Yeah, it was their intention, and they succeeded pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
One of the best cards ever made. I'd probably say the best card ever made, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ancestral Vision would like to have a word.
Ancestral Vision?
Sorry. Recall.
Oh, Recall. Yes. Oh, yes, yes. All right, sorry. Best card that's actually in a real format.
Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Our vintage players have just tuned out.
They clocked out.
They don't like you. That's Shaheen MTG for the nasty tweets.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so that you know.
Tell me how good vintage is. Go ahead and tweet at me at Shaheen MTG. And we'll, if you guys like it enough, we can email a couple people, maybe get a vintage open one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old 65 mana open.
Get some proxies up in there.
Uh-oh. Now we're in proxy land, yeah.
I would play then.
Yeah, I would too. I'll play any competitive Magic. I love the draft opens. I love the classics that have been in my area. Anything that we've kind of hosted, I've had a good time battling, and it gives me an opportunity to play in tournaments where I don't have to actually go qualify for them. Pretty easy.
Classic coming to your neck of the woods over in Virginia Beach pretty soon, too.
Yep.
So
a couple weeks we'll be there. For those who were tuned in yesterday, you know that the Virginia Beach Classic will be standard format, one-day event on a Saturday. Not this weekend, but it'll be the weekend after the Grand Prix. And it says Virginia Beach. It's actually in Hampton, which is right by Virginia Beach. So those who are in Virginia or Maryland or somewhere that's a close drive, come on by and do some standard battling.
Virginia Beach pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a fun area. real resort town, you know. Come by during the summertime, have a good time. But, you know, we don't get many events, mainly because the location's hard to get to. There's like literally one little tunnel that comes to our area.
I was also going to ask, like, is there an airport over there?
There's an airport, but it's just like it's pretty much 4.5 hours from Roanoke, which is in the same state, which makes it very, very inconvenient for a lot of the Magic players.
Okay.
As you know, Star City headquarters in Roanoke, and that's where the bulk of the players are that, you know, play in these big events. And 4.5 hours to drive for a small tournament is pretty rough for a lot of people. So.
Well, maybe we'll get a GP Virginia Beach. I know
Maybe.
we had a Grand Prix Charleston. Is that far from you?
Charleston.
Or we had
yes.
a Pro Tour Charleston too.
Charleston's 6 hours, but
Oh, wow, okay.
Richmond, where the Grand Prix is next year, the modern Grand Prix,
Yep, the one that
that's
we're hosting.
hour and a half away from Virginia Beach. So
Okay.
Not too shabby. That's my neck of the woods. Richmond's another nice one for tournaments.
I like Richmond.
I have a spicy modern deck in the brew factory, if you will.
You know that tournament's like 6 months from now, right?
It doesn't matter. It won't change. This
Wow,
deck is ready
okay.
to go.
All right.
Turn 2 wins. Turn 2 wins. Just
Turn 2 wins
turn
have been
2 wins.
announced.
Yep. It's good.
So Goryo's Vengeance then, or?
Close. Footsteps of the Goro.
Okay, sure.
Protean Hawk.
Okay.
Turn
Alright.
1, Faithless Looting. Turn 2, Little Simian Spirit Guide. Footsteps. Kill you.
Just no fear of Deathrite Shaman?
Nope. Can't fear anything. 4 is a charm. 4 is a charm is our answer to Deathrite Shaman main deck.
Many have tried and many have failed,
Yeah,
Shaheen, to be
yeah.
Deathrite Shaman.
It's a tough one. I mean, it does. It sucks when they have auto Graveyard Hate in play turn 1. But luckily, they printed Izzet Charm, which helped this deck out a little bit. And of course, you have 4 Thought Seize, and you have Inquisition to get out of their hand if you're on the play. So I'll send you a list. It's a pretty sweet one.
I will be sure to delete the email before opening it.
Okay,
Tom
very good.
Ross going to be on the play here. He's going to take a mulligan. So we'll see Fred Kelley take a look at his opening hand.
Long before I played Control, I was a combo player. Long time ago. Old Blink Riders and Greater Gifts and all these decks. I've had better days in the deck building arena.
Looks like Fred is not happy either. So both players going to take a mulligan down to 6 here. Blink Riders, that was a fun little deck.
Yep. I've like I said, I have about 3 or 4 glory days here of deck building. That's one of them on the mantle. The best one was Greater Gifts that I made. That was the one that was used by Frank Carson to get second at Worlds.
Yep.
And I was a young lad at the time, and he told me, he's like, you know what? I never got to thank you publicly, and he thanked me for the deck that got second at States. That's where he saw the deck list. And he kind of crafted it a little bit, made it better, obviously, because he's a pro, and I was, you know, second at States. So.
That deck was sweet. I remember playing that deck during college.
Yeah, that
was a sweet deck there.
It was a good one. Like I said, sometimes I have little bursts of ingenuity, and then I'm like, yeah, let's play S for 3 years.
Yeah, just 3 whole years. That's a long time.
Yeah. The Esper land, Esper factory.
Maybe Fred had been attacking for the past half decade, so who am I to talk?
Yeah, you know, you get comfortable. You get good at what you
Yeah.
get good at. So no one on Twitter is attacked for the vintage bashing, so we're good. Looks like we don't have any vintage players watching.
Give it time. They're getting their dial-up internet going because they're vintage players, so give them a minute or two.
Yep. Oh,
They keep it old school. So
Yeah,
it's
they
an old
do.
school joke.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
All
We're
right,
not
here
far
we
from-
go. We got a Tropical Island. We have a Noble Hierarch to start the show here for Tom Ross. Fred Kelley going to draw his card. Again, both players are on mulligans to 6, but one thing about Legacy is the decks do mulligan well, so being on a mulligan to 6 not a big deal at all.
Not at all, especially for Fred. I mean, you're playing, you know, the more I watch his deck, the more I see the camp that wants to ban. It's just very, very consistent.
It's horribly consistent. That's the
Yeah.
thing about it.
And you want to have legacy decks where you want to be able to, I don't know what combo deck to play. Should I play Reanimare? Should I play Sneak and Show? Should I play Tendrils? You don't want to say, oh, well, I need to play combo, so I'll play Sneak and Show. It's the best deck. You want to have a debate, you know?
Hey, it's an easy deck. It's an easy best deck to put together. It's very straightforward in what it's trying to do. It's got manipulation, it's got permission, and it's got arguably, you know, the 2 best creatures in the format in Gristlebrand and Emrakul. So it's pretty easy to want to be able to just put this deck together because it's so obvious on what it's trying to do and why it's good.
Yep. And there's just some decks that have no game against it. Lands being one. Infect has a hard time too because if he plays an Emrakul the next turn, what do you do?
You get dead.
Yeah, you
That's
get
what
dead.
you do.
Yeah.
In fact, the French player in this format, again, the cards that make this actually work are cards like Invigorate, Vines of the Vastwood, Might of Old Crocia, pretty mediocre cards in their own right, but it's just a combo deck, obviously. So you're just facilitating a combo. As you just see Invigorate on the screen, +4/+4 until end of turn. If you control fours, which Tom does because of Tropical Island, you got an opponent gain 3 life. And again, this was a card that was super powerful in Pauper. Super powerful there.
Yep. And it's this is a reprint of it, of course. It was in I think Mercadian Mask, I think.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, it's back with, I remember it came with Vine Dry and all those free cool spells, so. All right, so turn 2, what we got? We got a Brainstorm.
He's got some action in his hand over there.
Okay.
That's for sure. You saw Noble Hire just come across for 1 and Tom not playing another land, so Kelley's just going to pass the turn back, going to pick a better spot to use his card manipulation spell. Ross going to come across for 1 more point of damage, so this is not the ideal start here for Tom. He would much rather have an infect creature going to work, but you do see he has a Force Will. He's got a Daze, looks like he's got some pump spells, so he's just looking for that infect creature.
Yeah. David Ochoa tweets at us, and he says, "Vintage is sweet. It's more popular than people think, just saying." And Ochoa's no slouch, right? He's battled in the Pro Tour, done very, very well.
Of course he has.
Second at States in the, or not States, States on the brain. Second at Nationals under Ali Andrazi in the last Nationals that we had. That's a sad tournament to see go, isn't it?
Yeah.
I miss that tournament. It's very good.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah. So Brainstorm here by Fred Kelley, just setting up the combo, getting the combo going. And, of course, our own, one of our employees here that's manning the station shoebox decided to tweet us instead of working, and he said, Vintage is really sweet as well. So, very good. Shoebox.
Glad the cameras are still on. Thank goodness.
Yeah, good. Cameras on.
Busted.
Cameras on and the AC is on, thank
Yep.
God. For those who weren't here yesterday, the AC was on about 42 degrees, and Cedric and I almost died.
It's a nibbly-dibbly day.
Yeah, it was quite frigid. All right, so he's thinking about what to put back. He has a blast in his hand. He's got a bunch of blue stuff. Yeah, he has an Emrakul over there.
Got a show and tell in his hand too. He's got a lot of cards. I mean, big decision to make with brainstorm. You want to make sure you do get the brainstorming right. 2 cards going to go back on top here. Let's see what else he wants to do in this turn. So that was an end of turn brainstorm. So now he's going to draw a card. Again, Ross's hand not really doing very much here. And I actually really like the patience that Kelley showed in the first game. And I think he's going to be able to show that again here because obviously he's under no real pressures and Noble Hire attacking for 1.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to auto jam out the show and tell here. Now Lotus Petal is going to come down.
Yep. I think he's a Grizzle Brand also. I think he's got everything he really needs, minus sneak attack here.
Would you say that he has it all?
He has it all. He has it all enough. So here we go. Is he going to using this side of the land? I like it. It's fun. It's innovative.
There's a show and tell. It's time to fight.
And he has a Daze in his hand, but as we know, Daze not the best against the Ancient Tomb Lotus Petal deck. You need it because you don't want to die to these combo decks, so you leave it in. But easy to play around, though. Very, very easy to play around.
Using that Lotus Petal might have been a misstep here because now Tom can actually respond to his Scalding Tarn activation with the Daze.
Yes.
That's something that can't happen here. So I think I would have liked to see. Here's a Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm is going to be for 1/2.
Yeah.
Lotus Petal being the first spell, Show and Tell being the second spell, so it's actually going to be for 3.
I think Fred has another Show and Tell in his hand, right? I think, let's see, I think he has his own Flusterstorm in hand, which he can actually respond by cracking the fetch and Flusterstorming the Flusterstorm copies. However, we saw the Daze. Oh, but Tom is probably not going to go ahead and Daze this because, he feels like the Flusterstorm is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few people tweeting at us. I shouldn't have said anything because we have the Vintage Army after us now. Okay.
That's good.
Like
That's good. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, there's a few other commentators I've worked with before that are also very pro-Vintage. Just a format, again, is just think about how hard Legacies get into when you talk about the financial resources. Vintage makes Legacy look like child's play, especially because a lot of these sanctioned tournaments you can't use proxies. So
I'm very pro Vintage.
Oh.
Yeah. You're
So-
sitting with another pro Vintage player here.
This is class warfare.
Yes.
Yeah, class warfare.
Love
You can
Vintage.
afford the power, and I can't.
Oh, no,
so.
that's not true at all. I just love watching it in action. I could watch Brian DeMars read or write or play that format all day. Now,
Right.
here's Flusterstorm on Kelley's side, so he's going to target the Flusterstorm that's on Ross's side. So this Flusterstorm is going to beat Ross's Flusterstorm, which is going to attempt to allow Show and Tell to resolve.
Looks like, well, how's he going to split these copies up? He's going to target each Flusterstorm, both of them with 1. However, he has a land open, so he could pay for the Flusterstorm, right, on one of those.
Yeah, I guess this gets a little bit confusing now. You've got all
Yeah,
these
he
Flusterstorm copies on the stack.
Yeah, Show and Tell is actually countered here because, look, he has 2 Flusterstorm copies, Tom does, targeting Show and Tell.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to pay the 1 extra that Fred has, so now he has 2 on 2.
Yep.
And he's going to be able to counter the Show and Tell.
Wow, okay.
And he's going to be able to counter the Show and Tell.
All right.
So,
Flush Storm is it's a confusing Magic card, but at the end of the day,
maybe not actually. Hold on, I must have got that confused.
Well, Show and Tell does get countered.
Yeah, okay.
So you were right in your assessment on what would happen.
Yeah, I assumed that he was going to use the Daze too to back it up, but he didn't need to because, again, the Flush Storm kind of put copies everywhere.
Phytaxian Probe is going to show a hand of Emrakul, Sneak Attack, Force of Will, and Red Elemental Blast. So the shields are down here for Kelley. Now, I'm not sure if Ross can kill him with that Inkmoth Nexus, but wouldn't be surprised to see him try because there is nothing to really worry about. Also, Kelley needs to be able to draw land. If he even put Sneak Attack into play, it's not going to be a lethal Sneak Attack. You see Ross is quickly going to sacrifice that Windswept Heath, take a damage, get a Tropical Island, and we might see some fireworks here in a minute.
You know what would be a good draw right here? An Ancient Tomb.
That's a good Magic card.
That's a good card right now.
Here comes Ross. He says, double Might of Old Croja, get ya and kill ya. So, Might of Old Croja, +4. +4, that's going to be 8. Noble Hierarch Exalted is 9. Inkmoth Nexus has 1 power. That is 10. So, Tom the Boss Ross does win game number 2. We'll be going to a third and final one here between Green Blue Infect and Sneak and Show.
I guess if you're going to play Infect, you got to play 10 counter spells in your deck because otherwise it's going to be tough to win. But he did it. He countered enough of the Secret Attacks players' cards, and Show and Tell obviously didn't resolve. Flush Storm is a big part of that. And mission accomplished.
So, Tom Ross, Fred Kelley, both going to go back to the sideboards here for the third and final game. If you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips, Shaheen Surani. Starts the Games Open Series here in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL for your tweets all weekend long as we make our way through round 4 of Legacy here. Again, we've already seen a Standard Open champion be crowned. Green-Red Devotion is your victor. So if you're a fan of mid-range decks, we do have a winner there.
That's good.
But we're going to work our way towards a Legacy Open champion now. Last time we were here, we saw Sneak and Show take it down by Will Craddock, who is unfortunately not with us this weekend, but a really impressive tournament there from him.
All right, so let's see what we got here in the sideboard. I think we're going to stick with what we got. Tom Ross obviously bringing in all the counter magic from the sideboard. Fred Kelley bringing in his counter magic, but the only reason he's really bringing his counter magic is to stop Tom's counter magic. It's kind of like a, counter magic war that's just going to always ensue here. Because if you look at this, he's got Daze, he's got Flusterstorm, they both got Force of Will, so they have plenty of counter magic to throw at each other. And Tom only really needs 2 pump spells to deal lethal infect damage, we saw right there. So sideboard, let's see what we can do. See if the broken deck beats the, what'd you call it, infect broken? Yeah.
I wouldn't. The mechanic is like an annoyance. I wouldn't call it broken. It's just like, I mean, the thing is like with Infect mechanic, you have to go through a lot of work to actually make it good. You have to play some pretty bad to mediocre cards like Invigorate, Might of Old Croja, and Vines of Vastwood to actually make the mechanic good. So if you're gonna go through these hoops of having your opponent start at 10 life, you have to work for it, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah. We saw a lot of mediocre cards in Standard yesterday to do the same kind of mission there to make these
devotion.
Yeah, to make these devotion cards much more powerful. And here in Legacy, Tom has a devotion to Infect. He's got to change his whole deck around to it. But it's cool though. It's cool to see different decks. And in Legacy, there's no shortage of different decks in this format. I mean, we can go down the list. We can name decks for days, pretty much, and they can all be competitive. Even if you go into an obscure deck like Mud, which is the artifact control deck that Ali Andrazi kind of was a big proponent of, and he Chalice of the Void on 1 turn 1 beats a lot of decks. Blood Moon beats a lot of decks.
Tell you what, Chalice for 1 against Infect, game over.
That is game over, yeah. Chalice for 1 against Stoneblade. I had that happen to me at the Invitational. I lost that game pretty handily. Got the other 2 games, thank goodness. But Chalice for 1 stops Swords and Brainstorms and Ponders and Inquisitions and Thoughtseize. Pretty much the Legacy, if you break it down and don't count Emrakul decks because they kind of skew the math a little bit, the average mana cost of these decks are a little over 1. It's like 1.5 is the average mana cost.
I've been thinking about it a little bit because I was looking at the vintage results from Eternal Weekend. I glance at the occasional vintage article. Mirsh's Workshop. I kind of want that in Legacy. It's probably a really bad idea. But for some reason, so I've always wanted to play Workshops in Vintage, and the Mud deck is like an attempt to make Workshops a thing in Legacy. Let's just have Workshops. Let's just get it in for a couple months, see what happens. What do you say?
Oh, please don't.
No? No, is that not a good idea?
Turn 1 Trinisphere, just...
What's wrong with that? For some people, that's their idea of fun.
Yeah, you don't even need you only need 1 card.
Yeah.
It's like Dark Ritual every turn.
All right,
turn 1 Metalworker?
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Metalwork's not even good. It just dies. Lightning bolted. Who cares?
Yeah.
See?
Cost 3 with the transfer the next turn.
This lightning bolt is not a big deal.
That's cool. Force of Will. Pay 3 for that.
Kelley going to take a mulligan down here. Ross going to take a look at his 7 cards.
I've seen a few articles, too, that came out in Star City talking about eventually, little by little, unbanning Modern cards. What do you think about that? Because Modern ban list is gigantic. And a lot of those cards are very debatable to be banned. I'm sure there's a card on there, too, that probably could be unbanned and be fine. Maybe something like, maybe not something like Ancestral Vision. But how about like a card like Bitter Blossom? That's come up a few times. Is that card just going to be too good in Modern, do you think?
I think it could be unbanned. I think some cards I definitely think some cards can be unbanned. I mean, we saw Valka get unbanned and no problem was had there. Brought Scapeshift back, but that deck is very beatable. I would be okay with Bitter Blossom coming back. Bitter Blossom doesn't create a game that is as miserable as playing against a Valakut. I think the play experience of playing against Valakut is actually kind of just not a lot of fun.
No.
It's just like this thing where it's like, well, I'm dead in 7 turns or potentially less, so better get moving here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a big fan of that play experience. As opposed to, Bitter Blossom, I don't think the play experience is terrible there, where they just play it on turn 2, and you kind of have to maneuver and overcome it. I actually kind of think that that's fun.
Yeah, me too. I actually didn't mind playing against Bitter Blossom back in the day. Standard, I didn't like it in Standard at the very beginning because they didn't really have any answers to it. But then you'll see Wizards, they like to make a set, like say a base set, let's go ahead and throw a Great Sable Stag in. I mean, there's no reason they made that except for to help beat fairies.
Yeah.
Pro Blue, Pro Black, can't be countered. Just such a fantastic, sweet card that was able to give the green decks a chance to beat the Fae. Also, the printing of Volcanic Fallout, which was right after the fairies were running amok as well, gave red decks a chance to beat the Fae also. So I think Bitter Blossom would be good, but yeah, like you said, I agree. It wouldn't be in a busted, broken card.
I think Kelley is taking a second mulligan in this match, going down to 5 here. Now, that's going to be pretty tough. He is going to be on the play for this 3rd game, but Sneak and Show can do it.
Yeah.
It's that powerful and consistent of a deck.
You only need 2 cards and some land, and then you're good to go. So,
a couple cantrips, bring your whole hand back together. Being on the play certainly doesn't hurt. But, the Infect deck can put you under some pressure. And we know Tom does have a lot of permission after sideboard. Again, 4 Force of Wills in his board to go along with 4 Dazes and 4 Spell Pierces in the main. Also has a copy of Flusterstorm 2, which he used to great effect in that previous game and actually won it. So, we'll see what Kelley can put together on a 5-card hand. Hopefully the mulligans will stop here. Doesn't look incredibly thrilled with what he's looking at right now. I think I see multiple Emrakuls in his hand.
Yeah.
Wow. And he's going down to 4.
Yeah, and 4 cards against, did Ross keep it 6, I think?
He's on 7.
He's on 7?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's tough. Let's see if Fred can actually have, there is a God hand you can have.
I wonder how Tom feels about this matchup, because you have to know coming into the tournament you're going to play against Sneak and Show at least once, probably twice. Good chance of it happening 3 times. So are you pretty comfortable in your Sneak and Show matchup? I think that's part of the reason that we see a deck like Death and Taxes now, because you're so comfortable there. Ari Lax winning the Legacy Eternal tournament last weekend in Philadelphia, choosing to play Death and Taxes, a player who's known for playing Storm and very unfair decks. He sleeved up Death and Taxes. It was the right call for the weekend. Ends up winning the tournament and taking down the promotional Wasteland. Again, you're going to have to try to beat this deck that has Emrakul and Gristlebrand a couple times if you want to be the champion.
Yeah. And so far he's on game 3 with a mulligan to 4 on his opponent's side, so he's en route to victory. We'll see if he can. Is that Sylvan Library?
That is. Tom has 1 in his sideboard.
Cool. All right, well, Fred has 2 land on a mull to 4. I mean, the rest you can just draw, right?
Brainstorm in response to sacrificing that Wooded Foothills. He's going to get a little deeper into his deck. Red Elemental Blast among the cards that he has drawn here.
And the worst part about a Brainstorm on a mull to 4 is that it's really tough to put cards back.
Yeah, it really is.
Against Jerry, I mulled to 5 and had a Brainstorm, and I wish I waited 1 turn more because I actually had to shuffle back cards that were vital to me winning. It's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Up, fetch land, another land. I better Brainstorm while I can.
You see Kelley having some difficulty trying to figure out exactly what to put back. He looks like he wants to keep that Red Elemental Blast. Not sure what he wants to do with the other cards, however. So let's see what he chooses to do.
Pretty tough on a mull to 4. So he's thinking and he makes a decision. He does keep the Blast. I'm not sure how good Blast is when you only have a couple cards left in your hand. But maybe he's just setting this Hail Mary show and tell up. Can't really see his hand. Don't know what pieces he has already.
Yeah, Red Elemental Blast pretty good against Blighted Agent, also good against permission cards. I wouldn't want to really Red Elemental Blast like a Brainstorm or a Pond or anything like that, but there are some targets to be had here. So
it looks like Tom's hand is full of permission there. I think I see 2 Spell Pierce.
And Tom's going to start his turn off with a Brainstorm. Maybe this will get rebbed. We'll see.
I don't think he has another land.
I don't think he has another land either, but I think he just found one. He found a basic forest.
Wow. So
Or actually, Pendlehaven.
well,
Looks like a forest.
What if he had the soul read there, Fred there, and blasted that? Would have been a fun game there.
Yeah, yeah. See, Tom's saying he's got multiple Might of Old Croziers in the grip, got a Force of Will, got a Pendlehaven. So we'll see exactly what he wants to put back. The big question here is, does he have the Infect threat? As Tom is going to untap, take a draw, Pendlehaven, come to me. There it is. And the Blighted Agent means the answer is yes. Here comes the Misty Rainforest getting sacrificed. Kelley going to go down to 19. And this might be the thing that he pulls a trigger on with Red Elemental Blast.
I like the blast here. Hard to die by Infect if they don't have any creatures out, so keeping the board clear will buy you that many more turns. So here comes a blast from Fred. I think he actually already pointed at Tom's Blighted Agent, so we're going to see it coming now.
It's worth fighting over. So there is that blast. And I saw a card in Kelley's hand right now. He has Blood Moon in his hand. And that is scary. That is really, really scary card.
Yeah, because if Tom Force of Wills this, he's not going to.
Good
play there.
That's some discipline right there.
Yeah. You don't want to just lose the game right here. And he's going to go for it.
Jeez. That's an insane discipline. I would have fought over that.
Yeah.
I want my Blighted Agent in play.
That would have been pretty much game over.
Yeah.
You'd have to just invigorate your way up. Well, invigorate, you need to have a force.
Yeah, you have to control a force.
Yeah. And Blood Moon, of course, turns that off. Unless you actually have a literal force.
And he's going to slam down Blood Moon, as he should. So here's a Blood Moon. And there's no way Tom is going to let this resolve.
Nope.
So there's your Force Will. He's going to remove a Spell Pierce. Going to take 1 to do it. I would pay 1 to do that. So Blood Moon, go away.
Yep. He says go. So Tom, holding the Force of Will, is going to be rewarded here from not just auto losing the game.
Yeah, I mean, and Tom doesn't have another Infect. He doesn't have an Infect card in his hand. You see, he's got 3 Might of Old Croziers, plays Sylvan Library, and has a Spell Pierce. So his hand right now, again, 3 Might of Old Croziers, 1 Spell Pierce. So if a Blood Moon comes off the top here for Kelley, it's over.
Yeah. Let's see if it happens.
There's a Scalding Tarn. He just passes the turn back. So Ross is going to draw his card. He's going to trigger that Sylvan Library. So he gets to look at the top couple of cards.
Yeah.
Crop rotation among the cards that he sees here.
I would nearly pay 8 life and draw them all. Yep. And he does.
Yeah.
No reason not to. Each of these players' life totals relatively irrelevant because, who cares?
Yeah, I like that play too, that you mentioned. You just pay all the life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going to die from lethal. If he's already getting a Crystal Brand out attacking you, you're probably going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so he draws. Tom has just a handful of counter magic. I don't see him likely losing this game unless Fred strings together a lot of good draws.
Crop rotation was the big draw here from Ross too, because now he can actually search out a way to find a threat in Inkmoth Nexus.
Yep.
So Tom is going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand. He's going to go get Tropical Island. Not sure if we're going to see a crop rotation on the end step or not.
Yeah, I think he might.
Wouldn't be surprised if we do.
Yeah.
I think Tom may have realized that he may have made a slight misstep there by sacrificing the Misty Rainforest. The reason I say that is because what he could have done is he could have crop rotated a land away, left Misty Rainforest in play, and then I think Might of Old Crozier says when a land comes into play. It might be when you play a land for the turn, though, so I could be wrong about this. It's if you played the spell during... Okay, so during your first... I'm thinking of Groundswell.
Oh, yeah.
But when you play the spell during your first main phase... So... Okay, so second, that doesn't really matter too much.
Right. Yeah, but with Groundswell, you're right. That would be the one where it has landfall.
Yeah.
And you get to hold it back, too. Yeah, I mean, how often do we play these one-mana pump here?
All the time.
How, really?
All the time, baby.
Yeah, back in Limited, definitely. I
Played the casual room on Magic Online under a moniker no one knows of.
Yeah, you better, because you'll. Here's Groundswell. On
I don't want
screen
anyone.
here.
I don't want you to judge me. So
It's okay. Now people will judge you. Goblins in Legacy, and then mono green in the casual room.
you better believe it. So here's Sylvan Library activation. Among those cards, there was an Invigorate. So I'm trying to figure out, can I get you dead yet? Because I want to get this game over with as fast as I can. I do not want to get top decked out on it. If you draw a Blood Moon, I'm going to be in a world of trouble. So Ross is going to figure out what he wants to do with this Sylvan Library. He wants to keep Invigorate. And I'm not sure if he's got the kill available to him just yet. So he's going to start by activating the Nexus.
All right, so this seems like a lot of damage here. I think he has 3 pump spells in hand.
Yeah, but he can only cast 2 of them because he doesn't have another land. If he had another land, it would be lights out. But he can cast Might of Old Crozier.
He can give his guy +8.
He's going to attack here. Not sure if he's going to cast a pump spell or not.
No need. He can just do it next turn.
Yeah. Yeah, what he can do is he can leave up Spell Pierce because next turn it will be 8 plus the one from the Nexus is 9. He can leave up Spell Pierce. I'm not sure how much Spell Pierce does, just because it doesn't stop the old Blood Moon. Now here starts a Brainstorm. See Kelley saying, "Is this okay?"
Yeah, you gotta let this resolve.
2, 3.
All right, so Fred, yeah, he needs Blood Moon. He also needs a way to protect if coming into play against Spell Pierce. He can play a land for turn, but he has to put 2 back, so maybe a land and a Blood Moon would be pretty good. He has Force of Will, and it looks like, I'm not sure.
Some mystery cards there.
It looks like a blue card, maybe.
So Brainstorm's going to resolve. Does he have the Blood Moon? That's the question.
I don't think he does.
He does not. He passes the turn back. So Ross is going to untap Sylvan Library Trigger. He knows 2 of those cards. Third one is a Gitaxian Probe, so that's certainly a good place to start. Give him some information, figure out what he needs to do on this turn.
Yeah, and he don't want to pay all the life because he wants to be able to probe 2 for free, maybe,
Yep.
or use a fetch land here and there. So maybe pay 4, none. That's fine.
Gitaxian Probe. Let's see what Fred Kelley's working with here. It's a Force of Will and a Brainstorm. Got it. And he can hardcast that Force of Will, too. He's got Ancient Tomb. He's got the Scalding Tarn he can sacrifice for a land. He wants to sacrifice for a land anyway to clear that Brainstorm away, and then 2 more lands. So hardcast Force of Will is a very real possibility.
Yep, so let's see if he does it. Let's see
Ross
if he
going to
goes
fire
for
up
the
the
win here.
Nexus. He says, cast Might of Old Corrosion. That okay with you? Will this buy out a Force of Will?
Interesting plays here because going for this win here, if Fred stops it and then draws a Blood Moon,
There's an Invigorate. That's worth countering.
yep, this one has to be countered or you're dead.
Now this is interesting because I like what Ross is doing here is because he's got a Daze in his
That's
hand.
true, so if he hard casts
Yeah, if he hard cast Force, then yeah, he gets dazed. But if he alternate casts Force, then he doesn't get dazed.
Yeah.
And it looks like because he's sacrificing Scalding Tarn, I believe he's going to hard cast Force of Will and get that dazed and end up losing the game. No, it's kind of tempting because you see you have the 5 mana, you can hard cast Force of Will next turn, Brainstorm, maybe find a Blood Moon, get the game over with, but he's going to run into a daze that Kelley did see in the first game.
Yeah, us knowing the cards there is tough to make the right call. I don't know what I would do in this situation, but it looks like he is going to hard cast Force here, and then he's holding them together. He's thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what to do, but we've seen his hand.
I would be truly impressed if we were to alternate cast Force of Will here. It's going to take 2.
Yeah, he's doing it.
I think it's going to be a hard cast. It is going to be a hard cast Force of Will. Ross will show a daze, and that, my friends, is going to do it. So Tom Ross, the boss, does win this match 2-1, green-blue Infect, defeating the boogeyman of Legacy, Sneak and Show. And that means Tom Ross moves on to 4-0.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive because not only is this the best deck in Legacy, arguably, it's also a combo deck. And when you're a green-blue Infect deck, you obviously would rather see somebody play a bunch of creatures and then just fly over and just wallop someone on turn 2 or 3. But he obviously runs into a combo deck, but comes out ahead, comes out unscathed, and now 4-0 with Infect. And Tom, obviously, this is the Legacy, tournaments are a little bit smaller than the standard tournaments.
Yep.
He ran into a Devotion deck twice yesterday when he's playing a red deck, and obviously you just can't beat that deck to save your life. And here, he's playing a deck that, I don't care what I play against. I'll just be a Sneak and Show player. I'm 4-0. I beat aggro decks. So I guess with this deck, he feels like he can beat pretty much anything he really needs to beat. So let's see what we got here. We got a Infect player 4-0.